On March 1st, day 2 of the war, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu mused publicly that striking Iran is something he has longed to do for 40 years. On March 4th, day 5, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz disclosed that Israel had initially planned to strike Iran in mid-2026. He then disclosed that Netanyahu had set a goal of assassinating Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei back in November 2025, 3 months before the bombs fell. This was a war Netanyahu planned, a war he lobbied Trump into, a war he waited 40 years for, and he got it. Now, 14 days in, a Washington Post opinion piece by a former Israeli government advisor carries the headline, "Israeli defense officials start to ask how the Iran war ends." Israeli ministers have privately told journalists that regime change in Iran may take a year. A senior Israeli analyst told the Christian Science Monitor that without realistic, achievable goals, the war will drag on until Trump will be fed up with it. The 40-year dream is meeting 14-day reality. Here is what that collision looks like. Foreign Policy's analysis, published 3 days ago with its paywall dropped specifically because of the war, is the most precise account of why Netanyahu chose this moment. It identifies 3 closing windows. None of them were about Iran's nuclear program. Window 1, political. Israel has elections scheduled for this fall. It will be the first Israeli election since Netanyahu presided over the biggest security catastrophe in recent Israeli history, the Hamas-led October 7th attacks. Netanyahu needed a war. A successful war against Iran would be the political reset that buried October 7th under a larger, more triumphant narrative. The window for that reset, before Israeli voters had to decide, was spring and summer 2026. Window 2, American. The Trump-Netanyahu relationship has an expiration date. Trump is in his second and final term. Netanyahu has visited the White House a record-breaking 6 times in the last year, more than any foreign leader in the history of the U.S.-Israel relationship. He needed to use that relationship before it ended. Senator Chris Van Hollen summarized it with a line that has circulated everywhere. Netanyahu finally found a president stupid enough to attack Iran. Der Spiegel called it a dream for Benjamin Netanyahu that became true, then warned it may have disastrous consequences for Israel. The dream produced a reality that 93% of Jewish Israelis currently support, with a ferocity that has made the country's tiny anti-war movement essentially unspeakable. 19-year-old anti-war activist Itamar Greenberg told Al Jazeera he has been spat on in the street, is the target of an online hate campaign, and said, "If I thought about it, I probably should be afraid. I just don't have time." The 93% support is real. The bomb shelters are also real. Israel declared a nationwide state of emergency on day 1, the first since 1973. Schools are closed, public gatherings canceled, 20,000 reservists called up in addition to the 50,000 already on duty. Israel's Ministry of Health moved its hospital operations underground. Israelis are sheltering in parking garages while ballistic missiles arc overhead. Officially, 15 Israelis have been killed by Iranian strikes. More than 2,000 have been wounded. Iran struck Netanyahu's own office. Iran struck symbolic infrastructure. Hezbollah, operating from Lebanon with, according to Israeli defense officials, a large number of launchers still functional despite Israeli strikes, is expected to increase its attack volume in the coming days, specifically to wear down northern Israel's home front. And then there is the disclosure that changes everything about the war's public timeline. Israeli ministers told journalists on March 10th through unnamed sourcing that Times of Israel and multiple Hebrew-language outlets confirmed that regime change in Iran may take a year, a full year of this. Bombs overhead, shelters active, schools closed, Hezbollah increasing, and a 1-year timeline for the stated war aim to potentially materialize. Netanyahu told the Israeli public the war aimed to remove the existential threat posed by the terrorist regime in Iran. He addressed Iranians directly on X, urging them, be ready to seize the moment. He told them on day one in Farsi, come to the streets, come out in your millions to finish the job. 14 days later, there is no popular Iranian uprising. Judging from the little information that is coming from Iran, said Shlomo Brom, former head of IDF strategic planning, I don't see any movement toward regime change. No movement toward regime change. A 1-year private timeline. 15 Israeli dead. Schools closed. And the dream, 40 years in the making, is beginning, in the words of a Washington Post headline, to make senior officials ask how it ends. The most consequential crack in the U.S.-Israel partnership, the one that will define whether this war expands or contracts, is the divergence between what Netanyahu needs and what Trump wants. Netanyahu's endgame, as described by retired IDF Colonel Miri Eisen, a heavily diminished Iran. The nuclear program eliminated, the missiles eliminated, the proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Iraqi militias, broken, and ideally, the regime itself gone. Anything less than that, observers say, will be seen by the Israeli public as failure. 63% of Jewish Israelis in the IDI poll believe the strikes should continue until the regime is overthrown. That is not a side preference. That is the majority position of the country that has its hospitals underground. Trump's endgame, to the extent one has been articulated, is something faster and cheaper. Trump has said publicly he hopes the war ends soon. He reversed his openness to ceasefire negotiations the moment they became public, but that reversal was driven by optics, not by a strategic commitment to regime change. Trump asked what America gets from this war. Lindsey Graham gave him one answer: a ton of money and Venezuelan oil leverage. That is not the same as Israeli regime change. Daniel Levy, former Israeli government advisor, told Al Jazeera, my sense is that Israel has no real interest in smooth regime change. Israel wants chaos in Iran, not a clean transition to a moderate government that normalizes with the West. A moderate Iran that reaches a nuclear deal and joins the global economy is bad for Israel's regional position. A fractured, weakened Iran that cannot project power is the actual goal. That goal takes much longer than Trump's domestic political calendar allows. Foreign policy put it precisely. The Trump-Netanyahu relationship has an expiration date. Trump is in his final term. He has midterms in 2026, November, where Republicans are already hemorrhaging support from the MAGA base's anti-war faction, from economic approval at -20, from gas at $3.54 and rising. Trump needs an exit before November. Netanyahu needs a year. That gap between Trump's November and Netanyahu's year is the fundamental structural problem inside the alliance that is currently bombing Iran. Let us close with the costs Israel is absorbing and the bill that is still coming. Military. Israel has called up 70,000 reservists. The Israeli military is conducting the largest strike operation in its history, a distinction its own defense minister announced publicly. It is simultaneously managing Hezbollah from Lebanon, Hamas remnants in Gaza, Iraqi militia threats, and direct Iranian ballistic missile barrages. The IDF confirmed on March 9th that it destroyed 3 Iranian missile launchers out of the estimated 600 that remain operational after the claimed 80% degradation. Economic. Netanyahu and Finance Minister Smotrich announced they are fast-tracking the 2026 state budget to pour billions of shekels into defense. The ultra-Orthodox draft exemption law, a signature coalition priority, has been shelved indefinitely to stabilize the coalition during wartime. Opposition leader Lapid declared victory. Former Prime Minister Bennett said, "We won big." Netanyahu shelved a core coalition promise to hold his government together for a war he started. Political. Netanyahu's corruption trial is ongoing. He has requested a presidential pardon. Justice Minister Yariv Levin delegated the pardon decision to Heritage Minister Amichai Eliyahu because Levin's conflict of interest was too obvious to survive scrutiny. Netanyahu is running a war, requesting a pardon, shelving coalition legislation, and counseling patience, while privately his ministers are telling journalists, a year. Heritage. Israeli strikes damaged Naqsh-e-Jahan Square, Chehel Sotun, Ali Kapu, the Shah Mosque, Jame Mosque, and Teimouri Hall in Esfahan on March 9th. The Falak ol Aflaq Castle, marked with a blue heritage shield, was damaged March 8th. UNESCO issued a formal statement March 11th, urging protection for Iran's World Heritage Sites. Israel is destroying heritage sites that predate the Islamic Republic by 2,500 years. Netanyahu longed to do this for 40 years. Der Spiegel said the dream became true, then warned of disastrous consequences. Senior officials are asking how it ends. The private timeline is a year, and Trump will be fed up with it before then. The dream is running into the calendar, and the calendar belongs to Donald Trump.